Today, we're gonna take a little detour off the trail and I'm gonna give you a little food for thought because I really wanna share something fascinating about rice with you. Now, if you're a regular watcher of my channel, you know I'm normally doing a vlog-like style out on a ride with a good flock, enjoying that stoke. But I'm also a leadership coaching specialist and professional artist, which means I have a foot in each realm. I love them both equally. On that development side, I love helping people be the best they can possibly be and giving them great tools to move them forward. Now, a few years ago, I heard of this rice experiment with a Dr. Emoto, who actually took 3 jars of rice and put the same amount of rice from the same batch in each jar. He did not cover up these jars. He poured water over each one of them, and for 30 days, every day, to one jar, he would say thank you. Basically was giving some love to that jar. Now, the second jar, for 30 days every day, he would say, "You're an idiot," which none of us like to hear "you're an idiot," but for 30 days every day, he would say, "You're an idiot." And the last jar he would just neglect. It was the control, it was the neutral jar. He did nothing with that one for 30 days. Now, it didn't take long before he started seeing results with these jars. To that jar that he would say thank you to and give a little love to, it started to ferment, turn a little yellow, and would smell very sweet. To the jar that he would call an idiot, it started to mold, and that jar that was neglected started to rot. I became super fascinated with this experiment because it had me thinking, what does our self-talk do to us? What is our intention in our talk towards other people doing to our connections and our relationships? Especially things like being out on a mountain bike. If we want to improve, do we call ourselves an idiot, or do we think we're capable? Or do we not even try at all and we neglect it? So I decided to do the same experiment, 3 jars filled with rice. So here's what I did. I cooked rice, and I put 5 tablespoons of rice into each jar. These jars had never been used before at all. First time ever used, first time ever opened. They were sealed jars. And I had the same amount of rice from the same batch in each one of them. And I did this on June 12th of 2019 when I started. And I labeled one love, one hate, and one neutral, which was the neglect jar. So for 30 days, I started speaking love to the love jar. And it wasn't just the words thank you, it was the words I love you. And that feeling of love and being enamored with, like you would meet your partner or your kids or your best friends, your favorite pet that you have. I treated that jar like it had my heart. And for 30 days for the hate jar, I threw every profanity I could think of at that jar. You piece of you are to blame for everything that has gone wrong in my life. I hate you, I don't even want to look at you. And I felt ugly doing it. I feel ugly actually saying that now to the camera. Now the neglect jar was easy, I just left it alone. And when I wasn't talking to the jars, I kept them up in a cupboard away from heat, away from sunlight, away from everything else, equally spaced apart, and would just close that cupboard. Now here's what's different about my experiment compared to the many that you're gonna see on this rice experiment on YouTube. It has been 2 years. June 12th of 2019 is when I started, and it's past June 12th, 2021, and I have kept the jars. I've never opened them, and I can't wait to show you it. Let's check out the love jar. So this is the love jar right now, and you can see the top of it is labeled June 12th, 2019 love. And you can see that it's yellowing. It looks like it's getting a little crunchy on top. If you can see that, I'll try and spin it around here. But look at the bottom of this thing. That rice is still pretty white. A little bit of yellow to it, but it's still pretty white. Not bad for rice that's been in a jar for a little over 2 years. That's the love jar. Now this is hate. Look at that. Look at how brown that is. Now what's so interesting about the hate jar is within a week of me doing this experiment, this jar started to mold, and it was molding with a green kind of mold. And over 2 years later, you can see the start of that mold there, and you can see the effects of it all over here in the jar. It's pretty different than love, isn't it? Now, let me show you the neutral jar. Because the jar I did nothing with, gave no attention to whatsoever, this jar looks like this. I mean, it looks awful. And this jar within a week started molding like a black mold on the bottom, if you can see that. I don't want to tip all that rice over. And look at that. That is neglect compared to hate. I'll grab in my hand love, so you can see all 3 of those. Now, there are people out there who want to debunk this or say it's not real and, there wasn't enough controls done. I get that, and more power to you on it. What I would hate for you to do, though, is to take away the truth of what this is. What do you have to lose by being a little more positive to yourself and your self-talk and to those around you? I think you have nothing but gain from it, regardless of how many controls are on the experiment or not. I did everything I can, not being a scientist on this, to use the same amount of rice from the same batch in the exact same jars that had never been used before, keeping them all in the same place, and consistently, daily, treating 2 of those jars with love or hate and neglecting the other one. Keeping those jars 2 years later, pretty provocative, the results of those things, and pretty significant. So no matter what you're trying to go after in life, ask yourself, what is your self-talk? What's the narrative going on in your head? What's your emotional perspective? A lot of times people use the term growth mindset. Are you more focused on problems, or are you focused on solutions? On what's possible, or what is constantly going wrong and what is impossible? It could make a huge difference in your life, and it can make a huge difference on the effectiveness you have in your relationships around you. Go be kind to all the rice in your life, meaning yourself and those around you and everything else. We're in this world together. Let's make it a little more positive. Next week, hopefully I'll be back on the trails, or maybe giving you a really dope review on some great equipment. If this is your thing and this has helped you, hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. I would have loved to earn your subscription. Definitely gently caress that like button. You don't have to smash it. And of course, share this with somebody, tell them about it. And if you want more videos like this and want to know when they happen, hit the notification bell. Until next week, peace and love.
Say what you want, say what you will. I miss the ride.